and you know what it is. You know Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego too. This is Puerto Rico.
We're back!
We're coming out with a brand new thought, covered under the blood in which we were born. So we know how to get to.
Is for bold, A is for active, D is for determined. When you consider King David valiant, you have an idea and understanding of taking this. Stay tuned.
Hallelujah, revive us again.
We are excited to bring fresh commentary, good conversation with two bad men. Boy, you don't want to miss this. Bad Men for Christ. Join us.
Just like Peter when he did his first sermon. As the saying goes, bad men for Christ. That is how we'll be for the rest of our life. Sit back, relax, and enjoy our show because we're stuck in the house with nowhere to go.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Overseer. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Badman Show. We're glad to have you on tonight. Overseer.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. It's good to be in the house with you, sir. And I'm so glad to be with everybody watching. It's a special show today.
Yes, it's a special show. Special. We have a guest lined up, Overseer, Miss Dice Davis. And she's the chief of staff of Senator Gopal. And she was called away to an emergency fundraising event. And it so happened that we were trying to negotiate, or we could have her on, for her to take some time off, in order to be on the show. But Facebook is down.
Yeah.
And so that provides us an opportunity for us to kind of reschedule her because, as you know, a significant amount of our responses and activity comes from our Facebook viewers, and we want to give a shout out to them.
Amen.
And so we have agreed that we will postpone her until next week. So what are your thoughts, Overseer?
Yeah, it's a shame Facebook is down. We have a huge audience on YouTube of one right now, and I don't know how many more will come on. But it's good that we know our most of our audience comes through Facebook, so they'll be able to watch the show afterwards. And even though Miss Dice Davis is not on it, we're going to have her next week. Will be great. We're just going to move, hopefully, Facebook and Twitter and all those things will have their issues fixed, and then we can go forward with the show. But you know what? We're going to have a good time on the show anyway. When people look back and watch the show, they're going to say, man, I wish that was live. I had so many questions to ask.
There you go. And of course, we chose a subject matter that, of course, that is going to cause them to think about, oh, my goodness, they should have that show when I'm able to interact and ask questions. All right. So that's not going to happen. And for the host of YouTube viewers that we have, they will have an opportunity to chime on in.
the tons of YouTube.
All right, Overseer. All right, what we're going to talk about then?
Well, before that, I just want to mention Dallas Cowboys won again.
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboys won again. Woohoo! So all you haters out there, we won again. But hey, let's talk. Our subject matter for today is finances and the church. Different nuances of financing or finances and the church. The good, the bad, and of course the ugly. Let's go.
Well, let's do the good first.
Let's do the good.
What did the Bible say? He says the favor of the Lord, right?
Yeah.
You will have favor. The favor of the Lord make it rich. And he adds no sorrow to it. That's the good part. That simply means it's not about your job, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
It's not about your career. It's about the favor of the Lord, because it's that make it rich.
That's it. Yeah, and we talk about how people sometimes they mistakenly think that having money makes you rich. Having money gives you opportunity. Becoming rich is something different. Becoming wealthy is a whole different story. But those folks who don't look at money as a way of being rich, it's just a way of acquiring things, are probably going to be more rich in life because they find other things to make them happy.
Agree.
But,
Well,
but
agree.
money can do certain things, and they look at money. For instance, me and you, we look at money at a different purpose than a lot of people do. We kind of have the same agreement with money. We're not shy with giving, but we're also not shy with taking. so I like to give, I like to receive.
Yes.
But I'll speak for myself, and you can speak for you. But for me, money is a way for me to not only assist my circle of friends, it's also an ability to help other people achieve things. So if I can help somebody when I have it, I try to do my best.
Before I even jump in there, I like your definition of rich and wealthy. You remember that definition you shared with me a couple years ago? Why don't you just toss that out to our listening audience? Let them at least see the perspective from which we're coming.
So rich means I can buy things for my generation or for my right now family. You can be rich. You can be a millionaire or a multimillionaire, and I'm rich. I got money and I can do things for myself. But it does not mean that I'm wealthy. Wealthy means that my money will go from generation to generation. When you're wealthy, your kids are wealthy, your grandkids are wealthy. So there is a difference between wealth. And I'd rather be wealthy where I can create a legacy for my family than just rich where I'm doing it for myself. And wealth comes from the ability of knowing how to take your richness and make it work for itself. When money begins to work for itself, that's when you become wealthy.
Well, thank you so much, Overseer. We have one of our great follower, Mark Broders. He knows how to do both Facebook and YouTube.
Look at that! Whoa!
Mark, good to have you on. All right, so
our numbers have doubled. Yeah, we lost one.
So my thoughts then on money is money. The Bible says answers all things. Money answers all things, and I've read a couple books on the subject matter, from some of the more what do you call them, interesting individuals and their views on money. So if money can answer all things, I have developed the concept to answer something, it has to hear. To answer something, it has to be able to listen.
Right.
And so you gotta speak to your money. If it's able to answer, it needs to hear. And if it can hear, then you can able to use money in order to create opportunities, in order to direct traffic, and in order to make things work, because money answers all things. Yes.
Yeah. So Bishop, when we talk about money for good, what do you think then as a, because we're coming from a Christian and church perspective, as a man of God and a pastor, what do you think should you look at to answer? What issues are you answering? Since money answereth all things, what are some of the things that you have to answer as a leader of a district and a leader of a church? What is things you have to answer?
Oh, you gotta define that a little bit more. I want to answer your question. I have a philosophy when it comes to funds, and there are some that you invest money in. You take money, you invest it into somebody. If a person does a business, I would invest money into that person's business as opposed to loan the person, because an investment have a return associated with it. Right. It does have a risk. I know there's a risk associated with an investment, but an investment will move the person I'm investing in into a higher level, a better position, as opposed to lending the person X and X amount of dollars. Amen. Now, so investment is on one stage. the other stage where somebody may come and say, Bishop, I need to borrow $300, or Bishop, I need to borrow $500 or stuff. I have a simple principle. I operate in giving them half the amount.
Oh.
Giving half the amount. And so if you come and try to borrow $500 from me, I'll listen to your situation. I'll hear your situation, and then I will give you $250 and send you on your way, because now I know it's going to be a challenge for you to come back to borrow from me, because I've sent you away by giving you. Within the context of the church, however, we set up what we call a helping hand fund, where individual who runs into certain challenges and issue with money, they will come into the ministry. They will sit with the team that runs the helping hand fund, and they will decide how they will proceed in assisting the individual. So a couple of the questions they're going to ask is, are you a tither? Are you a tither? How you have been contributing? How have you been sowing? Because we believe in the principle, if you sow, you're going to have a harvest.
Mm-hmm.
If you're tithing, you're putting funds aside that will bring you a return. And sometimes the folks that runs into issues most of the times, you'll find they are non-tithers.
Yeah.
They don't sow. And so therefore, they find themselves in those kind of situations. And when they come in, rather than push them to the side, assist them, but try to put them on the right track.
Yeah, I'm like, I agree with you. And you bring in times. Let's bring that in, and let's try to be as plain and clear. I'm a little bit different from you when it comes to tithing and giving. If you're a tither and you are a giver, and we know who they are. I want church folk, the pastors know who the tithers and the givers are. We get a report. We know who they are. Okay, so we get it. We understand. We specifically, to me, I'm helping that person. If I can help that person, I'm helping them. Why? Because when they were tithing, when they were giving, somebody needed help, they were helping. So they have a front row seat to being helped.
Overseer, I'm just, how often do you actually have that opportunity for those guys that are tithers and
they come around because the
not
thing about
often
it is,
though.
No, it's not often, but they come around because sometimes there is a need that's greater than they actually have.
Right. Okay.
Sometimes they'll get I've got to make a huge repair. Can I help you? They're not calling me for $200. They're not asking for $300. They're not asking for. They normally are asking for a larger amount of funding, and they will give me a time when they will pay it back. Pastor, as soon as I get this, I'm going to pay it back. Okay, we make a schedule. When it comes to the non-tither, the non-giver, it's very difficult for me to give them any large sum of money because you're already in a bad situation. Like you said, you're already in a bad situation. You're not a tither. You're not a giver. How are you expecting to overtake your financial dilemma if you have not done the things necessary to help you overtake it? Tithing and offering, those things help you overtake it. I know you don't believe me, but I'm telling you as your pastor, do these things and your life will be better. They don't believe us. So it's hard for me to lend them any amount of money. Now, I don't do the half thing, but if you say, can I have? I will give it to you and not expect it back. But if you say, can I borrow?
Yes.
I will give it to you expecting for you to pay it back. So it really depends on the amount and how they ask for it. Because somebody says, I want to borrow this. I say, okay, I'm lend it to you. And when are you going to pay it back? Oh, I'll pay it back next month. Okay, great. Next month comes, they say, okay, you can say you're going to pay it back. They don't have it. I'm like, okay, you said borrow. So what are we going to do? Let's think of a scheme that we can make it work. And we work it out. But my biggest problem is they say borrow and I never see them again. That gets me.
Oh, because that's exactly what I would ask you. So now, how do you feel about that? You don't loan because they came to borrow. you saw them a couple days ago, and they're hiding.
Yeah.
They're slipping by you. They don't call you anymore like they used to. How do you deal with that?
Easy. I let the Lord deal with it.
Ooh.
You don't want to be cursed by God. I'm not lending you Rupert money. I'm lending you God's money. So if you want to mess with God's money, go ahead. You said borrow. I'm lending you God's stuff. This is what has come into the storehouse and is supposed to be a blessing to the ministry and to you. And it has been a blessing to you because you got out of it. Now, if you don't want to pay God, the question is, because we always talk about the question comes from tithe, but the question wasn't about tithing. The question was, will you rob God? Then they brought in the tithing issue. But the question is, will you rob God? Question mark. Right? So you have to ask yourself the question: if you want to rob God. That's up to you, man. But I don't want to be the one in judgment when God says, "Hey."
So you have gotten to the place where you have understood that all that you have belongs to the Lord.
Yeah.
And you're a steward. Excellent.
That's it.
If we can pass that understanding onto church people in particular, we will do well. To let them understand that everything that they have belongs to God, and all they're just stewards.
Well, to tell you the truth, though, that is something where, Bishop Brown, I would say everybody doesn't agree that we're just stewards.
Ooh.
Right? They might say, well, church money's church money, but personal money's personal money. No, I don't think that way. That's what I was saying before. We have a different attitude about money. I don't look at money as being mine. I look at money being something that I'm supposed to use to help the kingdom of God. So you remember when I was working, pastoring, if somebody said to me, if you called me and said, brother so-and-so needs a check, okay. You come in, we write a check and we send it off to them. We are the ones who would be bad men for Christ and offering. They ain't no one gonna challenge us and offering. You want to challenge us at offering time?
That's not gonna happen. Yeah.
I don't want. Yeah. We write it right. We look at our wives like, don't worry, we'll fix it later.
Yeah.
Right. You wouldn't challenge us, and it wasn't just in our diocese. It was wherever we went.
We go.
So it wasn't like we were boasting. It was like, this is what we do.
It's we're stewards. We're stewards.
Yeah, this is what we do because this is not my stuff. I want for me it was, I'm leading by example. If I'm going to ask you for offering, I'm going to ask you to give the very best. I'm going to do that. So let's talk about the bad, because we're getting right into the bad, Bishop.
All right, the bad. Let's start with the bad. The bad is, why is it? Why is it?
Let me ask you a question.
Oh, you gonna ask me? All right, go ahead.
We're gonna get to the bad. We got 8 people up in here, man. YouTube is blowing up right now. So don't forget to subscribe and like. And
there you go. Yes. This is a special YouTube only.
So Bishop, what do you feel about the pastor or the church that when you come to them, they ask you for a whole bunch of funds, a whole bunch of offering, but when they come to you, woo, they just take like $20. This is the bad. What do you feel about that?
Oh my goodness. It happens all the time. Let me say, it happens all the time. How I addressed it within myself. The fact is, I am being a steward when I went to them. When they came to me, they're being themselves. And it shows me where they are in their actual dealing and understanding with finances. That's what it shows me. It shows me.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and I look at it and I said, wow. I said, wow, isn't that something?
Woo!
especially when especially when it's kind of when it's kind of emphasized when you're at their place, and when they come to your place, it's not emphasized.
When they call you to take it up, Bishop, that's even worse. When they say, can Pastor Rupert take up offering? Because they know Pastor Rupert's going to write a nice check. Can Pastor Rupert take up offering? And when you take up, when they come, whoo,
they ought to come and volunteer under such situation and said, I remember when he was by us.
Yes.
But it just demonstrates to me where they are. Now, I'm not saying they're not saved. I'm not saying none of that. It just demonstrates to me where they are in relationship with finances.
But and this is, and I think we have some questions coming in. So, producer, bring in the questions when you get a chance. But that's a part that aches me, that kind of itches at me, though, is that we should support each other in a way that the strong helps the weak. And if you were strong and have the ability to help somebody who is not as strong, you should do it. But it looks like it's the opposite way. Because really, tell you the truth, I'll go to big meetings, and you will go to a big church, has a big sanctuary, and all these little churches will come, and these pastors will give and give and give. They'll bring their 17 to 20 members, and they'll all come. And suddenly, when they have their meeting, though, that pastor may not even show up. They may send a couple people, but the pastor don't show up. And to me, that hurts. But we got a question. Brother Walsh, you also find us on YouTube. I think he actually is a YouTube guy. Please talk about churches that collect money for decades. This might be the ugly. This might be the ugly, and never built anything for the communities. Never. He didn't say build something for the church. He's asking about the community. So you've been collecting money for the community, or to do things for ministry, and you never really went out and did something.
So, overseer, let me kind of say, in addition to what Brother Wash is actually saying, we gotta have some specifics here as well, because you know that there are, in some cases, that Brother Walsh, some of the folks them in those churches where they've been collecting money for years, some of those members been borrowing the money for years and has not been paying it back.
Yeah, or there's other needs came up.
These other, and Brother Walsh, also remember, if there have been funerals, sometimes without you knowing, some of those money that has been collected for years has been siphoned off to pay for those funerals because there's no insurance.
Or to be honest, sometimes there are things that churches do community-wise because most churches don't collect for ministry's sake. I'll put it this way. Most churches, not all, there are some churches that have missions or have certain ministries, and they collect for them. They have the benevolence fund, they have the senior fund, they have the youth fund, whatever it may be. And they oftentimes will do certain things. But most churches can't just do a ministry fund, because there's so many other things that has to be accomplished to get there. So that's where I would say. But I think most pastors want to do community service. It's just not so easy to do it, because one, when you get started, man, you don't want to end up not keep going, because then you look even worse.
Elder Mark has a good question there. Why are the people of God so tight with their money?
Because the people of God haven't understood that the people of God are
their money.
The people are tight with their money because they think it's their money.
They think it's their money. It's not their money. Elder Mark we gotta help them. Psalms 24 and verse 1 said, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and everything in it. And so once we are able to get folks to understand it's not their money, then we are on the way. You see, the folks, you folks don't realize that that there are principles, and yes, the one that the preachers usually say, "Bring me your tithes and your offerings," said the Lord, and I'll open up the windows of heaven. And he says, "Prove me." And it's in the middle of the Bible. That verse is directly in the middle of the Bible, and it's the only place where God says for mankind or humankind to prove him.
Yeah. And I also, would add that people are tight because people don't believe what they say. I trust in God. God is my source. God is my help. God is my provider. God is my keeper. But I'm going to keep my money in my pocket just in case. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Either God is or God isn't. If God is those things to you, you should be willing to say, you know what? If I give this, I know God's going to provide it down the road for me later on. He's going to keep me. And he does. I wish we had time. I could tell a quick story. You little kid going to college. I had $20 in my pocket going back to school. I was going back on a Thursday. No, it was on a Sunday. Sorry, I was going back on Sunday night, and church school didn't start till Wednesday. So I had 3 days before school actually started, but I was going because I ran track. So I went back on Sunday, $20 in my pocket. Well, I had $20 in my pocket. Offering time came. My mom said, put the whole 20 in the plate. I said, Ma, I got $20. I got to buy food for the next 3 days. The food plan don't start till Wednesday. This money's going to last me. I will give a couple dollars. She goes, no, God's going to provide for you. Give the $20. Man, that was the longest walk up that Alfred aisle I've ever taken. As a 20-year-old, walk up the aisle. I said, my mom's crazy. I'm not giving $20. I'm not doing this. But when I got to the plate, I was going to say to the guy, I need $15 change, but I put it in there and I walked away. So what happened? I got to school that night. Somebody gave me some pizza. Somebody brought pizza, so we ate pizza. I had my food. The next day I had track practice. So I promise you all, I was not a scholarship person. The coach said, all scholarship players, please go see the secretary or the administrator and get your books for school. My books are about $70 at the time. That's much cheaper than it is now. I went to school a long time ago. $700 for my books. I'm sitting there. He's like, look at me, Rupert. I said, scholarship players, go talk to the administrator about the book. I said, Coach, I'm not on scholarship. You know that I'm a walk-on. He said, not today. You're on scholarship. Go. So my $20 brought me $700. To make a long story, my $20 because I gave it because it did not belong to me. God had a purpose for that 20, but it brought me a harvest of 700 where I was able to get my books. And each day I had food because my food plan didn't start on Wednesday like I thought it did. Because I was an RA, it started the day that I came to school. So all the things that God will do if we aren't tight with our money, God wants to bless people, but he can't because we're tight.
In other words, people do what they believe. Yeah. It's impossible for them to do what they don't believe. You have Brother Walsh has another question up overseer. You want to take that one?
I know a church in the Bronx that build an apartment building for members and elderly in less than 10 years. I think it falls to the leaders and their ability to manage money. Oh, I know what he's talking about. Yeah. But there is also, Brother Walsh, connecting. There's also a relationship. There's a relationship in what he did that brought him knowledge. So it's your ability is correct. But the other problem that we have is people don't want to share knowledge. If that person knows how to do it, why doesn't he share the knowledge with other people or other pastors? You can do the same. The problem is a lot of us don't share knowledge. So it's not. So I do agree with you. Ability and all those things is important, but the knowledge base. I can't even want to get into it, but the knowledge base is important. And what do you think, Bishop?
I agree with you. Leadership and knowledge is critical. Well, absolutely. However, you also got to also know is the staff and people that he has to work with.
Right.
It's possible also, Brother Walsh, that he has trained the individuals within his ministry that they recognize that they're stewards. And so you might find that within his ministries, along with his leadership and knowledge, they're not stingy. They are folks that understand the principle of stewardship. So there's a combination. But I will agree with Overseer Rupert. One of the interesting thing is to share what God has given you. Knowledge is supposed to be free, and the more that you gain, and the more that you're allowed to, you're able to share with others, it helps us collectively.
Right. And this point by Mark Brodus, again, another good point, Mark. I find folk will drop $100 for entertainment, but won't give above $5 for offering. Oh my God, brother, that's one of the most true statements that somebody can make. Somebody will go to dinner right after church. we'll take their family dinner and spend $100 and some dollars at dinner, but they only gave a couple dollars in offering.
Right.
People do it.
Yes.
It follows the same mindset that people don't think about the church per se. They think about their money in their pocket, and
right is what they believe. Right. It's their belief system, brother Elder Mark, is what they believe. They believe in supporting me and that. And so you can also track those individual. It's not only the pocketbook, track the time. You will also see that those are the folks will spend all day at some event and only 5 minutes at church, even though the church need them to help in certain areas. As soon as it goes beyond a certain amount of time, they're ready to get out of there.
Yeah, everybody has something to do, but their to do is always so important that they can't spend time longer. Brother Walsh, should church leaders have a mandatory level of financial education? No. No, sir. That's my answer. No. They shouldn't have a mandatory level of financial education because there's so many things else for them to do. You would hope that they'd have financial people with education about finances. Excuse me. But the fact of the matter is that even if I don't have I should have a level of confidence to know what I know and what I don't know and go ask for help or seek information if I have to. So that means go to a bank, go to a financial advisor, go to a financial counselor, or a financial planner, or go to another pastor who has the ability and say, show me something, let me see what happens, and share information. But you should not have to have a level. It should be mandatory. I don't think so.
Brother Walsh, the staff. Moses at a staff. Every pastor should have a staff. And that staff, somebody should be in the staff that should be able to provide good financial decision and education for that ministry. Every ministry should have someone in the staff, and also invest in that person to make sure that they keep up. Because you could grow to a certain level that you can outgrow your staff. The ministry could outgrow your staff, and then you're going to have to get rid of the folks who started out with you because they didn't keep up. If you were operating at $100,000 budget and the Lord bless you post-COVID and you're now operating at $1 million budget, the person who was doing the finances $100 budget may not be able to do $1 million. You may have to nicely ask that person to leave so you can get somebody in place to take care of the finances at that level. So you either invest or you actually be prepared to get somebody new to come in. Right.
Deborah Johnson, sometimes you give knowledge and people refuse to move, i.e. parsonages. I don't know who she's speaking to because I have a parsonage. Is she speaking to you, Bishop?
No. She was one. She did a great job for me on the parsonage stuff.
All right.
Yes, and
But-
again, it goes back down to belief. People do what they believe.
Yeah.
And as wonderful and as great as Elder Deborah Johnson is in setting up these things in order to help us pastors save thousands of dollars each year on taxes, there are just some folks who won't move because they don't believe. That they just don't believe it.
Well, and again, it's because they didn't think of it, right? It's not their idea. Somebody else brought to them, hey, you should do this. Okay, it sounds good. And they never follow up because it wasn't their idea. But a couple years later, they're going to ask you, I do this part. I said, yeah, I told you 10 years ago you should do a parsonage. I've been at it for years. So you'll have that also. We pastors are funny people. Pastor Walsh says, can't the pastor just set up a day session to learn the things you just spoke about? I think he's continuing on about our discussion. Pastor Walsh, I wish it was that easy, my brother. Brother Walsh, let me tell you.
Educate him, Pastor. Educate him.
I wish it is very difficult, sir, to get pastors to sit in a room together for 1 hour and to have an 8-hour meeting and somebody's not preaching. Somebody's not collecting offering. I mean, we let me tell you something. I have been to, and Bishop, you've been with me. We've been to pastors' workshops, and the stuff some of the pastors bring is just how great they are. Period. You're hearing about their successes. You thought you were going to go there to hear how to. They tell you, look at what we did. You don't even get a how to. Then they say, we're going to set up a meeting where you're going to come down and do, and we say, okay, now we're going to hear how to. You never get that email. You never get to that meeting. And you don't get to hear the how to. So my brother Walsh, yes, I would love to be able to go to a how to meeting, but the world does how to meetings. The church just want to brag on themselves. Look at what I did. That's what I want to say.
Let's Elder Johnson, she says they just don't follow up.
Yeah.
They'll call 10 years later, Elder Johnson, and say, why didn't you? And you say, well, we introduced you to someone who could have taken care of that for you, save you at least 10 years, $5,000 a year. That's $50,000. And you just didn't follow up.
Yeah, they don't follow up again because it's not like you said, it's not a priority, Bishop. Like you said, it's a priority.
Yeah.
If it's a priority, they're going to follow up. The ones that follow up, it's a priority to them.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do something to save money, especially those pastors who have a church and that the church supports them for the 100% in the ministry. Yeah, if the church, get a parsonage, you save the church money.
Right.
And you can do other things with that because now they don't have to give you, especially because a lot of these pastors live in high tax towns.
Right.
Get a parsonage. It helps you. On another note, Mark says, how can I get a shirt like Bishop Brown?
Mark,
my
overseer, not even overseer doesn't even have one like this.
I don't even have one like that, bro. He's somewhere in the old school one. I don't got the zipper.
Zipper that guy, look at it. Oh,
I got the zipper. That didn't come my way. That wouldn't come my way. I didn't get the opportunity to get that one. So I don't know how you're going to get it, Mark, but you can keep asking him. Maybe he will give it to you out the kindness of his heart.
Mark, I don't know. I think when I got this one, it was about $45 I paid for it because, these, a lot of people don't understand, Mark, that when the Badmen produce things, we just didn't do cheap material. We get the best material, the best shirt that lands in at the offer, and we specifically did the design of them each. These are single stitched logo. These logos are single stitched, and so they cost. If I could help you out if but it costs, and I'm not sure how much of a steward you are yet. I'm just kidding. You're a bad man.
So okay, so Brother Walsh is sad. I'm hearing that our leaders don't want to learn. I'm not saying that.
No.
I'm not saying they don't want to learn. I'm saying that we want to learn, but it seems that we don't know how to teach one another how we did what we did. It seems like we rather just talk about what we've done instead of this is how we did it.
Right.
Sometimes you need a grant. Okay, what was the grant writing process? Just don't say I had a great grant writer. Okay, what was the grant writing process? The grant writing process, you have to find somebody first who knows how to write a grant. They had to search what grants were available for the project you want. Some pastors don't know that. Some people think you just write a grant, you can find one. No, there's certain institutions that give for certain things. So you have to search it. There's different websites you can go to. Some are state level, some are city level, some are federal level, some are private level. You have to search through those things. Those are the things you don't get by just saying, I built this 55,000 story building that cost me $7.18 million. And it houses 10,000 people, and we have a food court downstairs. That doesn't help me how I write my grant. That says to me, wow, I want to do that. But so we want to learn, we just don't get information. Would you say it's up to the people to choose a pastor that demonstrates good leadership, God, financials, etc.? You can answer this one, Bishop.
No. It's the Lord that chooses where you go. The Lord that plants you somewhere. The Lord that plants you somewhere. So Amen. The process, how that happens, it's different for each individual. But whenever you start saying you choosing, you're getting ready. You're getting ready to be involved in God's business. It's clearly written out in the New Testament. Let the Lord plant you where you're supposed to be, and you will flourish beyond your wildest imagination.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that's the thing.
Don't miss Holly's. Why don't you get in touch with me, Holly Brodus, and then let's see if we can work. You and I can work something out for your dad.
No, she says he's a good steward. She says he is.
She said you're gonna vouch for him. Yeah,
I'll vouch for my dad. She says, like, I'll tell you right now, he's a good steward. You know what? These family things when they come on and they back each other up.
Yeah.
I'm just so tired of this. Okay, Holly, I know you love your dad, Holly. I get it. You love your dad. Your dad's a good guy. He's my buddy. I love it. Great.
No, let me say to Mark. Mark, you just mentioned your our presider. He has one of these. He has one of these shirts.
He does.
Yeah, he has one just like this. Yeah. Check him out. He has one just like this.
He does. He does have one. He has one. I don't have one. He has one. Yeah. And I know that a lot of the brothers that are on here, they're good providers. Yes. I know Mark is a good steward. You're not blessed if you're not a good steward. You're going to be blessed if you're a good steward. So I believe, that's the case. So we're just, but again, we don't have much time left, but we're talking about, we even get into the ugly.
No, we're out of time, overseer. Huh? We're gonna have to do the ugly another time. We're out of time.
Yeah. Ken Walsh at a point got to disagree with that. Bishop's obviously a goal, and a church can help with that. I don't think there is one church. There is one church for a person. That's a different discussion. That's a good discussion to have later on. It's a good discussion, right. But if you choose the church, you're not letting God choose the church. That's kind of what we're saying on our side. That's what the Bible's kind of saying. You shouldn't choose it. God should choose it, because you may choose the things that you think you need, but God is going to choose the things that he knows you need. And right. Sometimes the pastor that you don't think has the qualifications to help you is the exact person.
The one that you need to go. And in fact, if you're going to do choosing, if you really insist on choosing, choose the one that you don't like. Choose the one that you think is going to be the worst scenario in the life, because that's probably the one that's the best for you.
Yeah.
Again, yeah.
You really don't know the underlying skills. You only hear about. I hear about Pastor Rupert. I believe Pastor Rupert, the people who talk about Pastor Rupert say all these wonderful things. But then when you get in contact with Pastor Rupert, he might not be able to help you navigate what you need because the needs that you have are different from all those people that were telling you how great Pastor Rupert was. But yet Pastor Paul, who you reject, he has those skills and things that you need. So oftentimes I would always say, if you're about to move from a church, you best pray first. And I tell my folks, I don't own any of the, and this is the thing, I don't own any of the sheep in my flock. The sheep that God gave me all belong to God. So if God tells you to move, you move. But if God didn't tell you to move, there's no reason to move.
Right. With that, we want to say thank you all so much. We appreciate. We ran out of time. Oh my goodness, this special. We should do some more specials, Overseer. This one was real nice. Woo. God bless you all. Thank you all so much for joining us. See you all next week. We will have Miss Dice Davis, and I know she has an excellent. We're gonna have an excellent show together. So please join us. Remember again to subscribe here onto our YouTube channel. You gotta like us on Facebook. Hope it comes back up soon.
Yes, definitely. God bless everybody. We're way over time. God bless you. See you next week. Same time, same channel. Badmen for Christ.
Nice.
Yes. Show. God bless you.
Again. So sing hallelujah, revive us again. So sing hallelujah, revive us again. Badmen for Christ. Like a fever, repping Jesus. To the end. We out.